On August 20th, 1966, a young boy was flying a kite on Morro do Vintém, a wooded hill overlooking Niterói, just across the bay from Rio de Janeiro. The hill was quiet, remote, and rarely visited. As he moved through the brush, he noticed something pale on the ground. Two men lay side by side. They were neatly dressed. They were dead. And each wore a handmade lead mask that covered only the eyes. The dead men were identified as Manuel Pereira da Cruz, age 32, and Miguel Jose Viana, age 34. They were electronics technicians from Campos dos Goitacazes, a city about 200 miles away. Both were married. Both were known as responsible, quiet men. Neither had a criminal history. On August the 17th, 1966, they told their families they were going to Sao Paulo to buy electronic components. Instead, they boarded a bus to Niterói. Before leaving, Miguel told a relative something strange. "We are going to make a scientific test." He did not explain any further. On August the 17th, the men arrived in Niterói and checked into a small hotel. The hotel staff later confirmed that they were calm, they behaved normally, and they asked no unusual questions. They left the hotel that afternoon and were never seen alive again. Police reconstructed their final hours through receipts found in Miguel's pocket. A bottle of water, a packet of towels, a raincoat. Nothing else. No food, no alcohol. When police reached Morro de Vintém, they found the scene disturbingly orderly. The men were lying on their backs. They were side by side, arms at their sides. No signs of struggles and no visible injuries. Both men wore suits, dress shirts, socks, and unused raincoats. Everything else was clean and intact. Each man wore a mask made of lead, crudely cut, shaped like oversized goggles. There were no straps, no padding. They were simply placed over the eyes. They were heavy, awkward, and served no known industrial purpose. The most disturbing item was found in Miguel's pocket. A small notebook containing only a few handwritten lines. 4:30, be at agreed place. 6:30, ingest capsules. After effect, protect metals and await signal mask. That was it. No explanation, no diagrams, and no context. The handwriting was confirmed to be Miguel's. The autopsy only made the mystery worse. They found no wounds, no trauma, no broken bones, no evidence of violence whatsoever. Because the bodies had been exposed to heat and humidity, no toxicology tests could be completed, and any drugs or poisons had decomposed. So what was the official cause of death? Undetermined. Both men died at roughly the same time. Investigators soon uncovered something crucial. Both men were involved in spiritualistic and scientific groups, which were interested in electronic communication, psychic phenomena, and contact with extraterrestrials. This was not uncommon in Brazil during the 1960s. Scientific spiritualism blended electronics, meditation, and UFO belief. Friends later told police that the men believed that advanced beings could communicate through light, that certain substances could prepare the body, and that lead could protect against harmful energies. Suddenly, the notebook made a horrifying kind of sense. Police considered several possibilities, none of which were proven. 1. Accidental poisoning. The capsules may have been drugs, chemicals, or homemade substances. They may have miscalculated the dosage, but no containers were found. 2. Ritual suicide. Some suggested a planned experiment, acceptance of death as a possible outcome, but they brought raincoats and water. They left no suicide note, and families said that neither was depressed. 3. Exposure to radiation or light. The note's line, "Protect metals, await signal mask," terrified investigators. Protect from what? Light? Radiation? Something they believed would arrive at 6:30. No evidence supported actual radiation exposure. 4. Homicide. Police found no evidence of robbery, assault, or forced ingestion. Nothing was stolen, and nothing was disturbed. The case then officially closed without resolution. There were no suspects, no charges, and no definitive cause of death. The lead masks were boxed, labelled, and archived. The hill returned to silence. The lead mask case endures because the men planned something precise, they followed a timetable, they prepared protection, and whatever they expected never came, or came too late, or came exactly as planned. 2 technicians climbed a hill, lay down, covered their eyes with lead, and waited, and they never stood up again. It was August 16th, 1942. America had been at war for only 8 months. Pearl Harbor was still fresh. Japanese submarines had been spotted off the California coast, and the US Navy was on edge. And hovering quietly over Treasure Island Naval Air Station was a small but unremarkable patrol blimp, and it made wide, uncontrolled turns. There was no radio contact, no signal flares, no emergency transmissions. By 10:49 AM, L8 crossed over San Francisco, flying unusually low. People looked up and immediately saw that something was wrong. Navy personnel attempted to hail the airship by radio. No response. Observers noticed that the engine was running, the propeller was turning, and the radio antenna was dangling loose. And then they saw something chilling. The crew gondola door was open. At approximately 11:15 AM, L8 drifted inland over Daly City. It clipped power lines, sparks flew, and the engine finally stalled. The blimp descended slowly, almost gently, and came to rest in a residential neighborhood, bumping into rooftops, tearing through fences, and finally settling into the street. Luckily, there was no explosion, no fire, and no bodies. Navy personnel rushed to the scene. Inside the gondola, they found no crew, no blood, no signs of struggle. Everything was normal. What was found was that the parachutes were still on board, the life jackets were still on board, radio functional but unattended, engine controls set for normal operation, and no damage consistent with combat. The door was open and the men were gone. The Navy launched an immediate search. Coast Guard ships, patrol aircraft, and divers. They searched the ocean beneath the last known patrol area. What they found would haunt them, because they found no bodies, no life vests, no debris, no oil slick connected to a submarine. Officially, Lieutenant Cody and Ensign Adams were never recovered. Theory 1. was an accidental fall. The Navy's official conclusion was this. One crewman may have leaned out to observe the oil slick. The blimp shifted, he fell. The second crewman may have attempted a rescue and also fell. But there were problems with this theory. Both men falling independently is unlikely. There was no distress call made, parachutes were unused, and no bodies were ever found. Theory 2. Enemy action. Given wartime paranoia, sabotage was considered. But there were no bullet holes, no explosive damage, no enemy aircraft reported, and the blimp flew for hours afterwards. This theory was quietly abandoned. Theory 3. Mechanical failure leading to panic. Some speculated that it was carbon monoxide exposure, disorientation, or one man exiting mistakenly. But tests showed ventilation was adequate, controls were functioning, and there were no signs of incapacitation. With no evidence of foul play, no bodies, and no further clues, the Navy closed the investigation. Official cause? Accidental loss of personnel. The blimp was then repaired, renamed, and returned to service. The men were declared dead, and the sky moved on. The L8 incident remains unsettling because of what didn't happen. Because there was no explosion, no emergency signal, no struggle, and no remains. Just a functioning aircraft, flying itself back to civilization. Empty. A machine returning without its operators. In the middle of a war defined by chaos, the ghost blimp stands out because it is quiet. 2 trained officers vanished in broad daylight, and the sky never told us how. On the evening of Friday, March the 6th, 2015, Lynn Jennifer Grosbeck, a 25-year-old mother, was driving home through Spanish Fork Canyon in Utah. In the back seat was her daughter, Lily, just 18 months old. It was a familiar road, a routine drive, cold but not unusual for early March. Somewhere along the canyon road, the car left the roadway. It plunged down a steep embankment, and then silence. Jennifer's vehicle landed upside down in the Spanish Fork River. The water was icy, swollen with snowmelt and fast moving. The car quickly filled. There were no witnesses. No other drivers stopped, no immediate emergency calls, and no sign from the road above that anything had happened at all. The river hid the car completely. For the next 14 hours, no one knew where Jennifer and Lily were. Early the next morning, Saturday, March the 7th, a fisherman noticed something strange below the canyon road. Upside down, submerged, but barely visible. It was the car. Authorities were called immediately. When emergency responders reached the scene, they could already see that this was bad. The car had been in the river all night. The assumption then was grim. Rescue crews reached the vehicle and confirmed the worst. Lynn Jennifer Grosbeck was deceased. She was still inside the car, still strapped in. She had not survived the crash or the cold water. The incident was already being treated as a recovery, not a rescue, until someone noticed something impossible. As officers worked around the submerged car, 2 Utah Highway Patrol troopers reported hearing something. A voice, not loud, not screaming. A calm, soft voice coming from the direction of the car. They later described it as saying, "Help me." At first, they thought it must be imagination, the stress and the wind. But then they heard it again. The car was supposed to be empty, except for Jennifer, and Jennifer was gone. Emergency crews rushed back to the vehicle. They smashed the rear window. Inside, in the back seat, still strapped into her car seat, was Lily. She was alive, cold, unconscious, but breathing. She had been upside down, partially submerged, for approximately 14 hours in freezing water. By every medical expectation, she should not have survived. Lily was airlifted to Primary Children's Hospital in Salt Lake City. Doctors warned that hypothermia, oxygen deprivation, and organ failure were all severe risks. But something extraordinary happened. As her body warmed, her condition stabilized. Within days, she was breathing on her own. She showed neurological responses, and she began to recover. Doctors later stated her survival was nothing short of miraculous. After the rescue, the troopers spoke publicly about what they heard. Both independently stated that they heard a distinct female voice. Not a child's voice, not radio interference, and not echoes. It was a calm voice asking for help. This detail spread rapidly through the media. People asked the same question again and again. If Jennifer had already died, then who was calling for help? Authorities and medical experts were careful. They acknowledged that Lily was alive and rescued, Jennifer had already died, and the officers genuinely reported hearing a voice. But no official explanation was offered for the voice itself. Possibilities suggested included auditory stress response, environmental acoustics, and the officers misidentifying a sound. But the officers themselves stood firm by what they had heard. They never claimed to know what it was, only that it led them back to the car. Lily continued to recover and was eventually discharged from the hospital. Jennifer's death was ruled as an accidental crash. The family mourned a young mother lost far too soon and celebrated a child who survived against all the odds. The case closed officially, but it never truly ended in the minds of those involved. This story is devastating because it holds two truths at once. A mother did not survive, and a child should not have survived, but did. There is no denying the physics, no denying the medical reality, no denying the grief, and there is no denying that, without whatever drew attention back to that car, Lily would not be here. Whether the voice was stress, sound, coincidence, or something no one can explain, the outcome is the same. A mother was lost, and a child was saved, and everyone who stood by that river walked away knowing they had witnessed something they would never forget. Thank you for listening. These were extremely weird stories that has blown people's minds for many a year. But what do you think happened in each of these stories? Is it coincidence, something paranormal, or something that can be easily explained?